That was Chris Cuomo talking to Ken Burns, and now we go to Larry Sparano. What do you think?
Yeah, Kent, it's not it's a complex situation. Behind me on the screen is a mural in the Museum of Natural History in New York where the statue of Teddy Roosevelt stands outside. And it's a mural, an historic mural of the Dutch encounter with the Lenape Indians who they allegedly bought Manhattan from.
Right.
And and it has a depiction. I saw this myself last year at the museum. I took a picture of it because it struck me that this is the way to make a learning experience, not to erase these statues and murals and other depictions, but
They put it in museum.
to have a reconsideration of what they depicted. Now, it was a depiction of the Dutch encounter with the Lenape Indians who originally were on Manhattan and in that area in New York, and it shows the Dutch. Uh, with the Indians who are looking like savages, half naked. The women are topless, the Indian women. But actually, the Lenapes, history shows that they were much more sophisticated than that. And when they were dealing with the Dutch, they were dressed up in ceremonial robes as leaders,
Right. Right.
and so it shows them with all the stereotypes of the past. Now, I came across this in the museum. I was there myself last year, and it struck me that with the perspective they were giving on it, it was much more of a learning experience than if the mural had just been taken down. So, what I propose is having something similar, reconsideration plaques explaining how it was depicted, the filters of history at the time, and what it should mean today, rather than
And you
just.
say
Go ahead.
you say put the statues and monuments in a museum.
No,
What?
no, no. What I'm saying is leave them up and put a
Oh,
reconsideration plaque around them explaining the depiction at the time, which in
yeah.
many cases was unfair.
That's sort of. I mean, I think they should be taken down and put in a museum.
Well, well,
Just
Ken,
as you.
I mean, look at in Washington, D.C. now, the statue of Lincoln with the
Yeah.
Emancipation Proclamation. Now, that's depicted as showing blacks as subservient, and because Lincoln is sitting, he's superior. Actually, the way I interpret it, it shows that with the Emancipation Proclamation, the slave was rising up from bondage because of that. He was emerging, and to me, he looks very respectful, not respectful, but he doesn't look like a poor slave. He looks like a man who is emerging to his proper place in American history. So there's different ways of seeing these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. No, I think it's a complicated thing. I mean, and again, what Ken Burns said. I mean, a quarter of the presidents of the U.S. had slaves. I mean,
Yeah.
so what? How far back do you go?
Well, you see, that's another thing because Jefferson was a slaveholder, Washington the others. Do we tear down their statues, erase them from visual history? You know,
Well,
if you
but I
want,
mean, go ahead. Yeah.
if you want to go that far, I mean, Martin Luther King. Now, there's many accounts. I don't know how accurate there are, but many accounts that he was a womanizer. He was unfaithful to Coretta Scott King. Should he be torn down by women's groups because it's an insult to women?
Well, there's no statue there. I mean, that's the point. My point. What do you think about this American Museum of Natural History statue of Teddy Roosevelt? Have you seen that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah. Well, that's
with
what I'm talking about. And the mural behind me is actually in that museum with a
right, exactly.
reconsideration of it. Now, it shows Teddy Roosevelt. He's on horseback because he was a Rough Rider and all that. The Indian and the black man is lower, standing. But
Standing right.
but you could interpret that as a president, the leader of the nation, who respected black people and respected the American Indians with the national parks and their heritage and all that. So can
Yeah, but
can
I see your point, but I mean, I saw that statue, uh, like growing up in New York City,
yeah.
going to public schools. Every year there was like a class trip to the American History Museum,
Hmm.
and I saw that, and I'm sure it had some sort of psychological effect on me as a black person, looking at that thing. And I never got any, in school, any real perspective of what was really going on. It was just, Roosevelt is a great white man. You know what I'm saying? So, I
Well,
mean,
but again, Ken, what I'm saying is, case in point, I was actually at the museum last year. I came across this mural. I stopped to look at it. And then I looked at the reconsideration verbiage that they had on it about how it was
right.
stereotypically depicting these Indians. And, to me, that was a better learning experience than if they just removed the mural altogether, because it gave some perspective of how the depictions racially were back then and our perspective today. To me, that's a better learning experience than just erasing that mural from history.
All right. Well, I don't think I think we're in somewhat of an agreement this morning in the sense that I just think you should take the statues and put them inside a museum as opposed to, maybe tearing them down.
Yeah,
So,
or erect new statues side by side.
right, right.
But
All right,
what
gotta
I'm
go.
saying is,
Yeah,
you could really go too far with this, where
I hear you.
the oversensitivity, and I mean, some of it's with good cause, but you always have extreme opinions in something like this, and I don't know if that's productive.
All right. Have a good weekend. Talk to you next week.
All right, Ken.
All right.
Bye.